All right, this is the third billionaire that goes to space. First it was Elon Musk. No, first it was Sir Richard Branson from England, then Elon Musk, and now Jeff Bezoe. Now, am I expecting Jay-Z to go next? Rihanna and Kanye? I think Kanye will be next in line to be trying to go to space because out there like that. Um, you know, uh, I remember Biz Markie had a song that he wanted to go to space, or he expressed that with his wealth, he wanted to go to space one day. So it's very unfortunate that he just died. God rest his soul, because I know with his wealth, he could have paid for one of them seats to go to space. And, he would have been on board for that. And I remember that from the 80s. He said that in the interview that I watched or something that I read about him. He wanted to go to space one day. And now that it's a reality where regular folks can go to space, and they not walking on the moon and that, they just really going to the outer limits of the world, and they're literally in space for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So, I'm like, so what's the point of all of this? It's just you flexing that your pockets is long to put together and make a rocket with all that goes into that, the personnel, the equipment, the manpower, the hours, your money just long. Is that just a big flex or what? Because that's what it seemed like to me. Because you doing all this to go to space for 3 minutes, but that's a big deal. It's nothing to sneeze on. You know what I'm saying? And I just saw something more on Instagram. Some Asian guy was like going off about big deal. You go to space for 3 seconds or 3 minutes. That's not even enough time to blow my nose and clean my nose. Something he was saying. So he was all, I guess, hating or just making a point that what's the purpose. And I kind of get it. But anyway, Sir Richard Branson took a woman pilot that was in her 90s, one of the first women to fly, after Amelia Earhart. I guess this lady came after her, who they never found. And the lady that they did find that resembles her, she was like, that's not me. I'm not her. But suppose if it was her, if she went down in a crash, how about she suffered memory loss, and then wherever and however she got back to the States, she was thinking she was somebody else. But she's actually is Amelia Earhart. You know what I'm saying? Or was she under a covert mission or something, for the government? Whereas though her plane going down wasn't an accident, it was part of a mission. And then when she got back to the States, because this is data and information saying that she was pulled from the water and she was on an island somewhere in Asia, when her plane went down. And, I mean, that's something from what I remember from history, being taught in the history books, and an update on her whereabouts. So, and I'm saying all of this is because I have discovered the Mystery Channel on 148 Sirius XM radio. They have a channel that goes back to vintage radio theater, mysteries and murders. And, I'm a big fan of mystery novels and murder plots, and and it's fascinating to hear this radio theater is what they called it. People before this was before TV in the 1940s, 30s, and before 1950, and before the first TV came on the scene. The actors that we know that will be on TV were actors that acted out theater on the radio. So one of the scenes was called one of the skits um was called Big Money, the Murder Experts. This guy was a detective, and he was an investigator, and he worked for wealthy families to find their heirs to their wealth. So that's what kind of investigator he was. And so they were looking for a particular guy. Him and his niece was a team, like a Sherlock Holmes and Watson. And this guy, uh, father was looking for him because apparently this guy was in the service in the war and his plane went down. And uh, so his dad, who was wealthy and powerful, like a banker or something, hired this guy, this detective, to go and find him after they got word that he died in a crash. So the detective got to the scene and wherever he was, and supposedly three people died in this particular plane, and the bodies wasn't discovered. I mean, or they were burnt where you couldn't identify them. But luckily, this guy did survive. Apparently, he parachuted out the plane, and wherever he landed at, they fixed him up and got him back to the States. But he had memory loss. And anyway, so this detective had 7 years to find this person to close out the case. And so what this detective did, just, you know, uh, living life. And okay, I got till 7 years to find this guy before this case is closed. Anyway, so he make his way back to New York, and this some years later, maybe 4 years, and he see this guy that look like the picture that he's looking for us, this guy. He think the guy is dead. So this is somebody that resembled this guy. Anyway, long story short, he stepped to the guy and propositioned him and whatnot, and was like, look, explain to him, look, what are you doing for a living and this and that. Anyway, you look like somebody, and the father, your father, not your father, but the guy I'm looking for, father, is wealthy, and therefore it's you have a wealth inheritance waiting for you. So this guy was like, look, you look so much like this guy, you can pass off of us saying that you is this guy. And so the detective was so high strung on this is because the father had died. So the whole estate is left in to a lawyer that will handle the business if he bring his son and find his son. So therefore, this guy that he met was an army guy that was in the army that suffered. Uh, he got wounded and he suffered memory loss and got out and got in trouble. He was incarcerated and whatnot. So anyhow, so this guy wanted him to say, well, look, you had memory loss, which he really did from his wounds in the war. So He convinced them to say, look, let's go to this lawyer and say you're this guy, but you didn't remember. And anyway, they had to run a fingerprint, and the guy, the detective, like falsely printed a fingerprint, and supposed to have been a print of the original guy. And but he took this guy fingerprint and planted it, and then tried to make it like this was like years ago, 10 years ago. So when they took this guy fingerprint, with the lawyer overseeing it, saying, by gosh, you a match. You are who the guy, like, let's say Quincy Newton. You are Quincy Newton, but he been living life as Ron Adamir or something. I'm just making up names. But anyway, so the guy he got the inheritance, but the deal was for him to split the inheritance with the detective because they set it all up. So I'm saying how that was pulled off. Maybe this lady was Amelia Earhart. Maybe she suffered brain and memory loss, and then when she get her direction back, she don't remember who she was, but she's who somebody is saying that she is. So I just thought, that would be, a good story to put out there, But back to William Shatner that played Captain Kirk on Star Trek, you know. Anyway, I got off base. What I'm saying is Amelia Earhart, who was like the first lady pilot that got recognition. So now this lady came behind her that Sir Richard Branson took this space, and then Elon Musk took a crew of young astronauts that's coming up, and then Jeff Bezoe had to top Sir Richard Branson and say, okay, well, you took a legendary pilot, a lady pilot, so I'm gonna top you. I'm gonna go get Captain Kirk and go to space with him because he is the original captain from the movies and the shows of being a space traveler. So these billionaires is flexing on each other, if you following me, but it's very rewarding for, I know, William Shatner that played James Kirk on Star Trek, the original James Kirk. And he's still here to witness this and experience this. This man is 90 years old. So even though for Jeff Bezos, it's a flex on Sir Richard Branson and Elon Musk, to William Shatner, this is like full circle. I played a space traveler captain on many shows for many years, and I finally get to go to space for real. Something that NASA didn't offer to do for me. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that would be a great story to report on, you know, on the Streets Finest podcast. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just big in itself. Jeff Bezos, salute to you, bro, for getting Captain James Kirk to space for real. You know, and that's a big deal, So I'm gonna sign off with that. I gave you commentary for 15 minutes. It's actually 14:26. So let's carry the 15 minutes. And um, thank you for the love, everybody. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and keep riding with me. And I'm mixing it up. You know, uh, I'm online and I'm reaching out to everybody, following them and asking them to check out my podcast and give me feedback, and if you find me worthy, please allow me to get your subscription. It's free. It don't cost you nothing, you know. And I'm trying to get monetized, and when that day come, it'll be because of you, and I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And I just hope that I'm doing valuable content that is worth you and your time to listen to. I hope it's entertaining, and those that rock with me, they rock with me. Like I said, um, I feel like I'm not going to be in one entity of reporting stories. I'm going to be all over the place because I want to appeal to everybody on all demographics and age groups. So when you look at my podcast, it's going to be something for everybody, you know. And so that's how I want my podcast to get viewed, and how everybody revere it, and just be like, look, you scroll down to the stories and everything and see what interests you and how I commentate it. Everybody can commentate, but everybody got their own style, their own swag, and their own delivery. So therefore, is a young kid named Juan Gotti, Jawan Gotti, and on Sundays he commentate the games and he do an excellent job. And I enjoy listening to him commentate the games. He's a Redskin fan or Washington football team fan. And this young kid is amazing. He need to go into communications and journalism to try to get an announcer job. However, and what background that takes far as getting that kind of an announcer job, and it's usually through journalism, so he's a natural. So I hope that, I'm appealing to folks on that level. And it is what it is. So, yeah. So, Jeff Bezos made it happen for Captain Kirk, William Shatner. And, it's a reality. My man done really been in space. And he was emotional right there. And was like, this was a bucket list. I done played a space traveler for years, and now it came true. So whether it was about him or not, it came true. So life is full of surprises, and maybe I'll come into wealth one day and be able to flex with one of these guys, you know, or do my own thing and get the space. So you never know. Life is full of possibilities, and it is what it is. So Streets Finest, Big Dave, I'm out. Peace.